Right. Jonathan, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on the podcast, on the Parrsitivity podcast today. How you doing?
I'm great, Adam. I'm so glad we had an opportunity to chat.
Yeah, same here. It's really great to have you on. And I know, it's been, difficult trying to arrange, life happens and things like that. And, really appreciate your patience and being on the show. And yeah, I would also like to say happy birthday because your birthday today. So, happy
Yes, thank
birthday.
you. Thank you very much. Yeah,
No, you're
64.
welcome. No,
I'm older than most of your guests, but that doesn't matter. It's just
yeah,
because I got a new heart. So the heart is
yeah.
the age would go by.
No, definitely. It's definitely true. And I hope you have a great day. And yeah, it's great to have you here. And I'll just read a little template, a bit of bio, who you are. So, Jonathan, you're a successful reality TV feature film producer and entrepreneur with multiple businesses. You've had some life-changing circumstances that you're going to get into and talk about. And yeah, I just leave the rest to you.
Well, I mean, I just feel like in order to kind of get everyone talking about my journey, which is the heart. So would you Adam, would you touch your heart? Just touch your heart. Okay. So that heart beats 100,000 times a day. Yeah. 35 million times a year. Okay. That heart has blood flowing through it 2,000 gallons a day, right? I mean, clasp your two hands together. Just do it with me. That's pretty much the size of your heart, right? That's pretty much the size of your heart. And my heart was dying. And I had a sick heart, and I knew I was living in borrowed time. So it was inevitable I would get on the heart transplant list. But before I got on the heart transplant list, I got what's called a defibrillator. And I think no people know what a defibrillator is, but it's in the movies, it's in every sporting stage, it's in airports. It's called stand back, and everyone knows that stand back. And then it's like the doctors always say charge, and then they put it on your heart and they get back your rhythm, right? Because you're like almost dead. I guess the definition of being dead is like no oxygen to the brain. So there's no oxygen, and they set you on, they charge it, and you get a defib. I had a little pocket defib. I can show it to you. So I was very fortunate. That was in my chest, right below my collarbone, and there are wires that connect it to your heart. So I was very fortunate that my surgeon gave it to me. So there's like a little zipper that they cut into your below your collarbone, and it slips in, and it usually lasts for 5 to 10 years. I got on my first defib, it lasted 8 years, and I got 3 shocks. The second defib, I got 5 shocks, and you're in dealing with people who are having emotional issues, or in your job, you know all about the stress and burden when you get a shock. So it was just very traumatic for me. And so I lived for 16 years, and then I was producing all along. So I lost my being a movie producer because you didn't have to go on sets anymore. But that ability to go on sets and actually hands-on produce movies, I kind of lost that. And what happened to me is I had 16 years ago, it sounds like such a long time, but it's so real to me. But I had 2 strokes, heart failure, and aphasia. So I lost my business because I couldn't speak. So in your job, you have to speak to your clients. People talk to you. They think you're intelligent, and there's a dialogue. There was no response from me because I couldn't speak for about a year and a half. And then I had to kind of reinvent myself. I had 2 young kids, a wife, and I reinvented myself as a reality producer. And even though I had this ticking time bomb in my chest, because I knew, my number will be up, right? Because I was having a really damaged heart, and it was just, again, a matter of time. And so I produced 10 reality shows that were on the air, developed over, pitched about 1,000, produced with network helping us pay for about 100, what's called, proof of concept, and we got 10 picked up. So, and they were on the air. And at that time, I was getting, I couldn't really breathe as well as I used to. I continued to walk, which is, anyone anyone needs to do some exercise. For me, exercise is my life. I'm not a physical instructor. I'm not I don't work at a gym, but I know exercise will increase your life. So being optimistic also increases your life. So then I got on the list, and it's a list that no one wants to be on. It's not like a backstage list for a band that you want to see. It was a list that you're listed for a heart transplant. So I was on that list. I got so sick being on the list, couldn't really breathe, couldn't really do my routine of exercise, and I was in the hospital, waited for 30 days. And it is amazing, to think about it, where people donate their organs. I don't know whether it's your religion, whether in the UK, it's on your license. In the US, it's usually on your license that you're an organ donor. But you give life to someone else, and it's the ratio is 8-1. So you can give your heart, your liver, your kidneys, your pancreas. There's lots of things that you can, give to other people. And there's a whole debate: should I do it? Should I not do it? But clearly, I'm a beneficiary of getting a heart. And also, I'm sure it would be very traumatic for the family that their loved one agreed, or they're shocked that she agreed. So I got a woman's heart after 30 days, and then it's a slow recovery. But while I was in the hospital, and we were talking about this before, your visitors, your friends, they visit, maybe they're for an hour, half an hour, but there's lots of, it's a 24-hour, a day in a hospital. So there's lots of alone time, and clearly it's not a spa. So nurses wake you up, every hour, every 2 hours, because they want to make sure that you're still breathing. So I had a lot of alone time. And then I came up with a website. I came up with this idea called personal stories. And everyone has their own story. And I know you're nodding, but everyone, whether they think it's interesting or not, but they've got some impact when they tell their story of what happened to them. Now, it could be medical, it could be life-changing, it could be something, but everyone has a really good story buried beneath them. And I feel like doing podcasts and talking to you is my opportunity to tell people, when those darkest moments occur, you want to dig deep within yourself, because I was in that hospital for 30 days and there were moments of depression and there were moments of suicidal thoughts, like, why am I existing? Why, you know, even though I don't want to go down that rabbit hole to think about like, why me? But it's inevitable. You want to think like, why me? And you know what? It's just the luck of the draw, or this is what happened to you. This is whether it's predestined or this is something just that happened to you, but it happened. And the chaos and what happens to you, we can't plan these things. And but we can react, or not, or respond. I prefer to use the word respond than react. And so I had time to come up with personal stories, .net. And it was kind of my story. And out of that, I thought I was fortunate enough that I had a wife or a partner, and that partner took care of me. And it was not all lovey-dovey. She's got her own personality and I got my own personality, and there are quarrels and there's arguments, but at the same time there's an underlying love. And so I got lucky that my wife was my caregiver, and then it caused me, when I was walking around my neighborhood, to like recognize how many people in a park, walking around your neighborhood, going to the high street, have caregivers. It's staggering, you know, and so you just have to pay attention. And then I came up with the idea, because I'm a producer and I wanted to find new purpose. Why am I alive? Why did this stranger give me her heart to help me live another day, right? So, and so I found new purpose based on what I already done. I have produced 16 movies. I have produced 10 reality shows, and I am creative. And I went through this ordeal, and I went through this change, to get an organ. And why not me as the host? So I am the host, and the show is around, there's no nice way to put it, around diseases. So, you know, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, Crohn's and colitis, arthritis. These are the things that people have or they will have. And it's just about a matter of, dealing with these things with grace and dignity. And everyone gets mad at their caregiver, and the caregiver gets mad at you. And you told me in England they call it, what was it called?
Care workers.
Care workers. So care workers, it's they form a bond with you, and it's a love-hate bond sometimes, or it's just a very lovey bond. But they're all around us if you just pay attention. So I wanted to do this show and focused, for me, I focused, the first show will be about the heart, and I interview a cardiologist who is my cardiologist. And so let's hear what he has to say, but also let's interview a caregiver who deals with people who have cardiac issues. And then we have a therapist, because I don't know about you, but I think everyone will benefit from some form of therapy. And it can't be a family member, and it can't be someone that really knows you. It has to be objective. And so because you get corrupted if you know people too well. Interestingly enough, I have an experience where I had a guy who I was very objective when I first met, and I lost my objectivity along the way because we became friends. And then I said to him, I can't really tell you what's wrong and with your book or your screenplay, but I have to refer you out because I feel like you and I are too friendly, and I don't want to insult you. Clearly, I indicated I was not I'd have to damage our relationship, and people, when you damage those types of relationships, people remember it. They ultimately kind of forgive, but there's always that moment like, he said some nasty things about me as a creative person. So going back to the caregiver story, so this is what I wanted to do, and I found new purpose in my life, and dealing with heart, kidneys, lung, experts, therapist, and advocate will have to have some of the uh, uh, people that like are in the trenches advocating for with the government, advocating for in the United States with the state about needing help for these people who have issues. And then I feel like everyone needs nutrition. I mean, everyone's young and you're invincible and you feel like you can go on, and you don't know what is out there because you go out of the door and someone, I don't know if you ride a bicycle or you walk or drive to work, it doesn't matter your form of transportation, but not about you. Someone could injure you, someone could crash into you, someone could, so you live in a world, again, not why me, this happened to you. So you can't be, you know, um, always thinking, someone did it to you. This was your life. And so I developed also, along with the caregiver show, I developed, what I feel like are three um, aphorisms or ways that I deal with things, and one way is rigorous optimism. I call them the three R's. And it's the three R's with kind of like a prescription. And so rigorous optimism, because every day you wake up and it's hard to be optimistic, right? I mean, you wake up in the morning and do you feel like every day you're optimistic? No, no one wakes up that way. But you have to work at being optimistic, and I feel it's work, and so that's why I called it rigorous optimism. And then it's rugged flexibility, the three R's, rugged flexibility. So you can't be stuck in your ways, and this is what works for me. You have to be able to change things. Your drugs, your medicines, your lifestyle, if you want to interact in the world, there is a word called compromise. And you know everyone compromises, from the queen to the presidents to your neighbor to your milkman. Everyone is in the business of compromising. And so rugged flexibility. And then and everyone knows that you have to, if you if you are born, you will have to have some form of resilience. It's not about, getting knocked down and picking yourself up. It's all the physical and mental violence of life that you take those punches, and then you have to be resilient. And I've heard it from friends and family, they couldn't do what I did. Well, I didn't plan on being sick. I didn't plan on getting 2 strokes, heart failure, and I didn't plan on getting a defib. I didn't plan on getting, a heart transplant and all the other things that went along with it. But this happened, and you, in your life, you, whatever you do, you get pushed down, you get pushed back. It's you have to, again, rigorous optimism. People who are depressed live. There's a study from an American university that tracked medically, if you're optimistic, you live between 10 and 12 years longer than people who are pessimistic and always thinking the worst. You have to have a lightness. Also, in my caregiver or care workers today, is a moment of levity, fun. We have a care worker. There has to be some fun, and maybe there's a video and they're talking to their patient. So, and we have those America's Funniest Videos or Britain's Funniest Caregiver Moments. So, in your darkest moments, in your darkest moments, you have to see the absurdity of life. And I think I've seen the absurdity of life. So when I went into the surgeon, when they were going to remove my heart and hook me up what's called a machine that breathes for me, and I said, I see this on YouTube. And on YouTube, it looks to me it's like 5 minutes. So you don't even need to give me the anesthesia because it's only 5 minutes. He said, Johnathan, it's going to be between 8 and 9 hours. What you see are the highlights. It said, oh yeah, I'm joking. So it added a little bit of laughter to a very serious moment for me, and also the 30 people who are choreographed like a clock, who does what, and then they cut me open. So that's what I'm trying to do, find new purpose and bring this show, with all the diseases that we all face, whether you face it as a young person or middle-aged or an elderly person, we are all going to be caregivers at one moment in our lives. I think I'm talking too
Yeah.
much.
No, that's fine. I really appreciate you sharing your story and what happened to you, Jonathan. And I think what comes to mind first thing is, the all these are things that have happened to you, and you have used your experience and the things that you've been through, and you're using that to help other people. And you said, like, what went through your mind was like, why me? And I think when people, if you go through something that was out of your control, I think it's normal for us to think that. And I think, like you said, it passed through your mind, and you thought of different things, and you've used your experience, and you've decided to respond to what happened, and to shift it in a positive direction, and that triumph over adversity, really. You know, you've had such, it wasn't just one thing, you had the the heart failure, you had two strokes, you know what I mean, and the seizure and aphasia and all of these things. So I mean, you've pushed through all of that, and you said, I'm not going to stop. I'm gonna keep going. And like you said, people who are optimistic and who've got that mindset will push forward with that. And I think it's incredible, what you've accomplished and what you're accomplishing and what you're doing. And it's really, you know, positive work. And I'm sure lots of people will benefit from listening to, your story, and because this is really shining a light on, like people who are caregivers and people who've probably been through similar experiences to yourself.
I mean, I, I mean, I agree with you, but it's like, it's the random nature of things, right?
Mm,
The randomness. So, I had what's called myocarditis. You know, did I have a cardiologist? Yeah, because I was at that point, in my 50s, and I just think, you know, you can't just go to your GP, you have to get specialists, and you visit a cardiologist. And then, I did all those tests and I did well. It's not you're the 90% category with everyone knows the bicycle test, um, you're great. So why me? And then it turns into, why not me? Because why not me is saying, you know, I didn't want to be anyone's hero. I didn't want people to, I wanted to be like you saying, I met this guy, he came onto my podcast, he had a heart transplant, right? You can chat about it, you can talk to your friends about it. I wanted to be that person, you. I didn't want to say, I'm the guy who had the heart transplant. I'm the guy that had the defib. I was the guy who had, my body, yes, I work out, but there's lots of scars, right? And I was not in a war zone, even though when you go to bed and don't know if you're going to wake up, it is called PTSD. And I had that PTSD when I went to bed and didn't know if I'm going to wake up. Now I'm very confident most of the time I'm going to wake up. But, with your viewers and your audience, couple things that I do, life is sometimes so dire. I really want to smile. You know, I want to repeat things that, there are unpredictable setbacks in life, and it's just moving forward, right? A friend of mine told me, do you know the word Dockaroo?
I've heard of it.
Dockaroo. So Dockaroo means water goes off of duck's back, right? They're kind of like dogs. Water goes off their duck's back, and kangaroos can only walk forward, right? I don't feel kangaroos walk backwards. They're they walk forward. So a duckaroo. So I don't know. I'm aspiring to be a duckaroo, but I love that word. And so you have to deal with what's happening in the future, and you have to deal with the present. We're both present. I don't know what happened to you in your childhood, right? And is that relevant? It's relevant to you, but in a conversation, I don't think it's relevant. If you had a good relationship with your mother and dad, it affects you. But we're dealing with you now as a fully developed person, right? Same thing with me. You just can't always blame your mother, your father, your aunt. If I went to, university, but I didn't go to the right university, you can't blame everything that happens to you. You have to, like a duckaroo, you have to move forward, and you have to let all the crap fall off like a duck, you know? So
Yeah.
I feel like, that's what my message is. And watch my show. And I thought you were going to play the video, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I'll definitely play it. I'll play it. I
yeah.
can play it. Can play it now, and I'll show you. I'll show the viewers. Let me just find it on my device. So I'll share my screen. I'm on my phone at the minute. Let me just.
Okay, okay. No, I think we can do it at the end. But yeah, so I'm like, I got with this disease, I came back from selling a movie at Sundance.
Hmm.
Uh, I don't know if that's meaningful, but it's a big film festival. And I came back and I didn't realize I had what's called myocarditis. It's inflammation of your heart. So I went back in time. I'm thinking like, well, what happened to me that maybe I had pneumonia or maybe I had something and came back. That causes the stroke. It caused the two strokes, and then it caused all the things that led up to it. But if I didn't go to this film festival, I wouldn't have sold my movie, I think. And this is kind of like my journey.
Yeah. No, I think it's incredible. Like what you've done and what you're doing, and what you was previously saying in regards to like water off duck's back, or duckaroo, and like life. There's lots of variables, and this all just comes to mind is that things happen in our life that are out of our control. You mentioned, like childhood, things that we choose to do, whether that's going to university, college. And I think sometimes people, might try and create a story or reason why things are, the way they are, or put blame to certain things if they're coming from that victim mentality, which some people tend to do because that's an easier route, I find. But you're not doing that, and you're saying, I'm pushing forward, and you're not picking blame at things or why things happened. And people go too far into that, I think, and that can keep people in a place. I find, they might be like, well, I'm not okay because this happened, and they're resentful, or playing the victim card. It's society, it's my childhood. And like you say, we've all had things happen in our life, and I think it's what you choose to do with it. You've chosen with your experience to provide value to other people, and push through that. You made a choice to do that, and I think it's really commendable what you're doing, and really inspiring, because a lot of people sometimes have things happen to them, and they sit back and they point blame, and they'll not move forward because they're stuck, and maybe resentful, or whatever. um but I think, like you said, it's it's how you respond to it, and having that mental um that mental state where you can address things head on and keep moving forward, and let things grow you and make you stronger. I think that's the way to be, and you're an example of that.
Well, yeah, I didn't want to be an example, but again, this is what happened to me. This is my journey. And if any of your viewers want to write in, personalstories.net, I'm interested. So I mean, like, the 5 things that we, respond to is, flight, a danger, you're gonna run away, or you're going to fight, or you're gonna freeze. We don't know how we react unless you're trained, and even the training, you have to overcome your fears. And so what are your fears, and what are your nightmares? And so I'm just telling you, because I've technically died 8 times, no blood to the brain. I think that's a definition of dying. Um, I don't want to go into, all the details, like if there was a choir singing you in, and it's like, no, for me, I'm dead. And so I came back because this electrical charge connected to my heart brought me back to life. And so you get a little bit more appreciation how long you're here for. So this moment that you and I are sharing is precious to me. So I will remember it. I'm probably one of your 1,000 podcasts. I don't know, hopefully you're going to remember me or not, but it's meaningful to me. And the only person that you can control, ironically, is you. You can't control your parents, your wife, your kids. I mean, they're independent, and you want them to be independent, even though you fight their independence. And I struggle with it, with my own kids, which are adult kids. And at the same time, you want them to be that independent person, but you want to control them. I can't even control my own wife because I don't know what she's going to make for dinner tonight. I mean, it's going to be something good or not. You know what I'm saying? So the only person you can control is what you're doing at this moment, and plan for your future. But that's kind of like what you can control. You
Mm.
make the
Um,
right, try to make those decisions as you mature and you get older, to make them meaningful, because that's every day. We The only thing in life, the equity in life, the irreplaceable part of your life is is the time. So time, in the beginning, you got so much time, right? I mean, endless summers. When will summer be over? As a kid, when will summer be over? And as you age, summer's over in 3 months. It's, and then it kind of collapses. So every day is precious, and you want to make a difference, if you can, to someone else's life or your own life. And I believe in joy in the sense that reward, because everyone likes to be rewarded, whether you got a cool shirt on today, which are very beautiful, nice, or you're going to go out to your local pub, or you're going to bring some cakes over to your mother or your friends. Life is hard. There's no doubt about it. It is hard. And then you have the moments of joy, and you should acknowledge them and appreciate them, and then, recognize that they're now going to be memories. So the irreplaceable capital of your life is time. Sounds pretty profound.
No, no, I love that, Jonathan. I really love that. And I think it's really, sobering, to hear what you said. And, like, I think people sometimes in their day to day get, kind of on autopilot, unfortunately, some people. And, like when things happen to you, I think it really does change your perspective. And as you mature through life, um, you know, it alters how you see the world. And I think, from your experience, and I think, from having that perspective, isn't it, and being grateful for where you are. And I think when you go through life and you learn and you grow, you shift and change, and you see things differently. Like you were saying, time is precious, and as you get older, like you saying about the summer and time and moments are precious, and creating positive memories. And
Mhm.
it made me, when I left work today, I left the office and the sun was out, and I was walking to my car, and I thought, I just stopped for a second, and I thought, well, I'm grateful just to be able to walk and see the sun. A lot of people can't, do you know what I mean, aren't able to do that. A lot of people, might not have a car. A lot of people might not, do you know what I mean? Be able to breathe properly. All these things that we don't always think about. And it really put things into perspective, because I think when you work with certain clients who are in pretty precarious situations, you know, it makes you stop and think, and it makes you grateful for the small things that we don't always, think about. But yeah, like, like you said, it's precious.
Right. And I mean, like, everyone wants more, like you mentioned, going out and in your car, or you have a car, or being incarcerated. Imagine those people, men, women, kids incarcerated, um, but they have, the sun will come out tomorrow, right? The sky is not falling. So what happens is you have a chance for a redo. You can make tomorrow better than what you perceived today was. So it's all about you. And you can say it's all about my boss, or you can say it's all about, not having them the right money that I want, or it's not. Well, I mean, today's economy, the only person that is standing in your way is you. You can come up and create something and try to sell it. You can be nice to someone. It doesn't really cost you a lot to be a horrible person or a nice person. And also, if people that are not nice, either the toxic people in your life, try to cut them out, because they're just causing you anguish, emotional anguish, physical anguish. So try to cut these people out, and I've tried to do that. I you have to curate your life. Organizing your life is up to you. You're the party planner of your life. I like that. You're the party planner of your life. Who you want to see, who you want to see leave. It's not about your parents, or your fiance, your partner. You're the person that curates your life, and then you invite them in, or you dismiss them, or you just tell people. I mean, the thing is, and I find it hard too. It's like, what did I do wrong to this person? maybe you didn't do anything wrong, right? I mean, my wife's like always like thinking like, well, did I insult this person, or what did I do wrong? Well, maybe she didn't do anything wrong. Maybe they're busy, and they didn't respond in the right way, because people get sometimes overly sensitive, and they think I did something wrong. And why don't you think you didn't do anything wrong? I mean, people know what they do wrong, right? If you do something wrong, you know it, right? If it's an emotional experience, and you don't think you think back like, I didn't do anything wrong, it's on them. It's not on you. Don't take that burden on yourself. Just free yourself and be the person that you want to be or aspire to be. And there's no, there is no limit to people's what they want to do, because if you can change your mind, you can change your life. So whether it's a placebo or not, I'm gonna give you an example. I When I got the woman's heart, the donor's heart, there were issues or problems. So she had a virus. I didn't have that virus. She was a carrier and I was not a carrier. It's not Hep C or something. It was just another virus that she had, and I didn't know about it. And the doctors didn't think it was relevant to tell me. Okay. And then she also had another issue. It's called a spasm, and it's not like your hand spasm or your feet spasm. It's your heart spasm. Okay. That's kind of concerning, because I was in the hospital 2 times for 5 days, and the doctors couldn't figure it out. Eventually they figured it out. So they gave me some, pills or meds, but the virus still, I go up and down. So what I'm saying is the virus was going up, 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 up. And I was angry that with my doctor, like they didn't respond to me. And then when I wrote this, yeah, it was emotional. I wrote this nasty email to my doctor, not my cardiologist, saying like, it was 2 weeks that you have not responded to me, and my virus is going up and up and up, and then the next day I took the test every week. She was like 2 weeks behind, and the next day my virus was down. And then it's like, oh, was this necessary if I had waited another day? But for me, it was necessary. I wanted to take action, and I thought 2 weeks is enough time. And then ultimately, it was not. The virus is now going down, but uh, I still think I did the right thing, because I think 2 weeks is a long time dealing with your health. But your body is an amazing way of helping you out.
Mm.
So, we don't know what goes on with your body all the time, and your
Mm.
body is fighting things all the time.
Mm.
Viruses, bacteria, COVID, things are in the air and we don't even know. And it's up your body is going to help you fight. And if you're not able to help to, if you're not able to do it, then you have doctors, and hopefully they can help you. But
Mm.
life is all about fighting.
Mm. No, I love that, and definitely, and like, it's really, true what you said. Life is all about fighting and pushing forward, and fair play to you for standing your ground and sending the email and saying, that this needs addressing. Because sometimes you have to do that to get, stuff done. You have to put your foot down, and
Mhm.
I found that in the UK with doctors and surgeries, I've had clients who haven't heard back from their GP, and I've had to. I know I won't go too much detail. I know the NHS are overstretched and understaffed, and I
Mhm.
get that, but people still need to be corresponded to. And I had to go in there with them and say, look, this is my client. They haven't heard anything for however long, and they went, yes, okay, and then they got it addressed the following day. But
Yeah, they
like,
yeah,
but
I mean
that,
there is that expression, the squeaky wheel gets the oil. And
yeah,
I know uh um the national health in the UK has been um starved of money. It's in the
mm,
American papers that the UK has been, the NHS has been starved of money, and then the government is making changes
mm,
to improve it. And that's just um, priorities, right? It's a
yeah,
priority. Maybe it was not a priority for the government, and now new government, it is a priority.
yeah, definitely, yeah. But good to see what happens. But
Yeah,
I love what you said though about it's up to us to decide on things in life. You said we can't control like things our partner does. Like our kids. It's up to us to decide how we want to live our lives, and we have the power to do that. Like you said, we can make changes. We could decide on what's not good, what is good, and it's up to us to do that and move forward. And I really, really like what you said about that. And you okay for time, by the way, as
yeah,
well.
I'm good. Yeah, yeah,
That's cool. Um, because sometimes people get swayed, and we're busy in life, and people are just going through the motions. I think, like you said, life can be an emotional roller coaster, and like you said, it's how we respond to that rather than react to things. And we can make changes if we want to. And I think it's just sometimes taking a step back and making a choice. And I think like when you had the things happen to you, like the medical situation, you made a choice to decide on things. And I remember, an event that happened to me when I was a teenager. I had PTSD following an accident, and I fell through like a skylight on a roof, and I had PTSD, and I had depression, anxiety, and all of that. And it hit home with me what you said, because I felt like a victim. I felt frustrated, and I remember thinking, why me? Why is this happening to me? And do you know what I mean? Being frustrated in that place and losing trust in myself, and I had to kind of rebuild that, and like I said, make a choice to push forward through it, and to seek the right help, to have therapy, to like some people have things happen to them and they don't deal with it, and then they're still in that place.
yeah. I I I'm glad you took matters into your own hands, because the first step is to recognize that there is an emotional, physical um, concern or an issue, and then you were able to, or maybe you're still going through it, you know, analyze it and just kind of deal with it. And it doesn't matter. I feel like I feel that there's common sense is overlooked, because you know people like have survived for so long, but there is common sense that kind of guides you. And so, whether it's your old mother, your grandmother, or it's just an old wives' tale, but sometimes these tales that people tell have been through millennials. They've been through, decades, and there's a reason. And so you know, pay attention to people in your family orbit that are maybe a little older, and they have some stories to tell, and kind of pull yourself off the treadmill, and just you know, take time for yourself. It's like, it's like when people are on that treadmill of life and trying to move and uh, uh, get more money or work less or try to find that equilibrium, it's sometimes you have to step off to understand what's going on, and then you have a chance to make changes. Because if you're on that wheel and you can't get off that wheel, and you have to kind of like, you can get off the wheel. You can get off that wheel, but what are you going to do if you get off that wheel? That's the insecurity. Okay, I'm on this path. I go to work. I get my vacation. I got my Christmas holidays. I'm on this routine, and I don't want to get off the wheel, because what happens if I get off the wheel? All these other things crash down. But 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 sometimes getting off that wheel helps you to give more perspective of what you want in life. Maybe you want more holidays. That's a legitimate thing. People want to work in order to not work, right? But you have to get a bare minimum of work, but you really don't want to work. So how can you do that? Figure out a job that allows you to do that. And maybe it's the right job, or maybe it's the wrong job. And especially if you're young, you're more likely to get a job. But as you age, you're going to get, age discrimination, and people are like, oh, you're too old. I can get a youthful guy or woman at 25 to do the same thing that you're doing at 50 or 60. And but as we know, even though it's almost like a fact, people are living a long time. The government never, ever, whether it's the US, any government, never thought people would live as long as they're living. They're living into their 80s, 90s. Few are living into their hundreds, but so is the new 60 40, is the new 80 60, all those stupid expressions that people come up with. But people are living longer, and they have to, like, you can work really hard, and then you get a break at 60, and you're still young enough to do all that, do that, all those vacations and all that, buying a cottage in the Cotswolds or wherever you want to do. But it's just a amount about of, map out. Sometimes it's worth kind of like, what are your dreams and aspirations? I always do that. Every year, my New Year's plan, right now I'm on the path that, like, I feel I want to kiss or hug my wife, whether she wants it or not, once a day, to establish more connectivity with her. It's like, why are you kissing me? Why not? Why not? Why are you hugging me? Why not? Do you want me not to? But it's now creating, like, she's kind of like, oh, I like this, the intimacy. Same things with guys. You know, people on the same sex. They're just really unsure. And I'm not talking about, you know, lesbians or gay people or LGBT, I mean, there and all those people, there is a moment of hugging and intimacy that you want to reach out to people and just say, I'm with you. I don't know what you're going through, but I'm with you. They just need that connection because we're
Mm.
all human, whether we're
Mm.
a billionaire or a migrant, who wants to go to Britain so
Mm.
desperately that they're risking their lives. Wow, what would you risk your life for? Literally, risk your life. Has to be
Mm.
really, really, really bad where they came from. I mean, to do that.
Yeah. Yeah,
We're,
it's
you know,
it's going into the, I think it's like that saying, isn't it? Something that if there's something bigger than yourself, isn't it? Then you jump, you have to jump into the unknown through that, and people are willing to do that if the odds are stacked against them. If there's a little glimmer, little spark of hope at the end of all that darkness that's going on, then
yeah,
people will jump through that. And I think that's what we're seeing, in life and in I said the situation and with migrants. And if I had a family who's in a war-torn country, I lost my job and let's try, factions or corruption, and there's no way out from that, and there's a little spark of hope, then I think I probably would probably do the same. If even if it meant, if you knew your time was up pretty soon and nothing's changing and an opportunity comes along, you probably would get on that boat and risk it all to try and start a new life.
yeah.
It's like you said, people have got choices at the end of the day. And I think that's what it, comes down to. And, you've made the right positive choices to make changes and inspire and help other people. And, people can, like say, get off the treadmill and they can take a step back and they can make those changes, regardless of, where they are.
But I mean, I'm going to just go back to kind of how we started here.
Yeah.
It's you have to be optimistic. That's my mandate for you and your listeners. Touch your heart and just reconnect to your body. And that heart is miraculous. That heart pumps 100,000 times a day. That
It's wild,
heart,
isn't it?
yeah, that's Google. Look at Google, 100,000 times a day. That heart pumps 2,000 gallons of blood circulating in your body. And you know, it's, just look at your hands. It's a little bit bigger than your own heart, right? A little bit bigger. I mean, your heart is a little smaller. And so it's like, wow, be connected to you. I'm not saying meditate. I'm not saying, but you know, you know, understand all the crap that we put into our body. It comes out. And so try to put good things into your body and then try to, you know, whatever your condition is, move, move because, you know, it's like not a kangaroo, but a shark. It's like, they only move in one direction. Just move. You can't be always stationary. And if you can just kind of understand what you're going through, and all the people that you interact with, they're still going through these things. You don't know what is the problem. The only person you can deal with is you. And you have to be flexible. You have to be rugged, and also, and you have to be, everyone is resilient. Everyone is resilient, whether they know it or not. You came into this world fighting to live. To live. So just, think about that, and then just like go from there. And like, yeah, I came into this world wanting to live, not die, not, kill myself, not you were not born depressed. I mean, I don't know the brain structure, but certain people, but what, you can change your life. If you can change your mind to change your life, that's all we're doing. I mean,
Mm,
pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional.
definitely, definitely. I think, people have a choice, if they want to stay there or change it, and it comes down to them. I love
Yeah,
that. And what I'll do, did you want me to play your
yeah.
your clip?
Video.
Let me find it on my. Just bear with me a second. I'll figure out how to share my screen up here.
I mean,
Um,
you can always put it as a link to the website. We don't really have to do it now.
yeah, if I'll try and do it. I mean, Zoom's they've changed how they
Yeah.
do things. Let me try and figure out how
Well,
I can
well,
share my screen.
just put it on your website, and then people want to see who I am and what I'm doing.
Yeah,
I
because
really
what I
enjoyed our discussion.
yeah, same here. It's been really great having you on the podcast, Jonathan, and I will share your clip when I post the clips, and when I post the podcast, I'll put that in the front of the show. And really, really appreciate your time and you sharing your story and everything you're doing. And I think it's really positive and inspirational what you've been through and what you're doing. It's really commendable. Where can you find your website, your social media, that sort of thing?
Yeah, well, thank you for asking. So you can find, if it's your story, and it's called personalstories.net. It's a World Wide Web, so we're all connected. So personalstories.net, your story. I'm interested. And then, if you want to look a little bit about me, it's Bogner Entertainment Inc.com. And Bogner's Bogner. So Bogner, like Bogner Regis, for the Brits.
Yeah,
Uh, so it's Bogner Entertainment Inc.com. If you've got a great reality show, maybe I could help. But my purpose now is to inspire and educate, with creating community, creating information, and creating knowledge, to all the things that we know are out there with caregivers and care workers. They're just they're all around. So just pay attention.
no, I love it. No, definitely. And I'll put your links in the description for people to find your links
Yeah.
and websites. No, I appreciate you, people listening, and it was great talking to you, Jonathan. I
Oh,
wish you all
my
the best.
Adam, so I enjoyed it. It was worth the wait. And so yeah, we will be in touch. And if I appreciate it.
No, you're welcome. You're welcome.